So the forum was basically established less than 24 hours after the October 7 event. It's basically, I wouldn't call it an organization, right? It's basically a foundation and association, which is built on 100% volunteers. It started with a few families that have found their loved ones kidnapped into Gaza in October 7 and have started joining forces and working together, reaching out to anyone they found fit, anyone that they can reach out to in order to understand, to find out, to discover some intelligence regarding physically and tactically where their loved ones are. Ever since then, the forum has basically grown and advanced. And now it is currently hosting around 95% of the families of hostages and missing persons, basically supporting and taking care of their needs. And that means a few things. First and foremost, everything around psychological support. So the forum supports, basically, I wouldn't say occupies, but we have hundreds of psychological volunteers that are supporting the families, the survivors, and their loved ones across these very, very challenging and difficult times. I think, personally, it's the least we can do. October 7th represents such an unprecedented, uncharted water. It is an event that is so, I'm even lacking the words, right? We just came back from New York and we kept mentioning how much there are no words in either the English language nor the Hebrew language to describe that. And following such atrocities, such horror, I think such a huge break of our entire civilized moral, of our perception as society, as human being, of what can happen to innocent civilian. And it's not only the fact that, we are in a conflict, it's the level, the magnitude upon which the event of October 7 have reached to, have really, I think, left all of us in Israel on a sense of, we have to basically devote all of our efforts, all of our expertise, all of our time and resources to make sure, A, that we bring everyone until the last one back, and B, that we make sure that such incidents can never occur again.
Trying to support each other. On the one side, a lot of them are very determined to do everything that they can. So they'll have family members that focus on the political lobbying and campaigning, and other family members who will stand up in front of the cameras. And, no one knows what is going to have the impact. There's one clear objective: bring them home. And so there's a lot of support to each other. There's moments of pain. There's moments of sadness. There's a lot of strength and resilience. And fortunately, there's a team of professionals to support them, both in terms of getting their message out, but also giving them the hug or the support that they need, or that the volunteers need, to get through a very difficult period in time.
Listen, the forum's mission has always been a humanitarian one, right? We focus solely on the fact and on the aspect of bringing them home. I think that there's a lot of opinion across both sides, and that's the voice and that's the message that we carry all around the world. And I think that is something that is really very, very challenging to argue with.
We have a mission to return 240 people. From a business standpoint, it's good that you have such a clear vision. Together with that, as Odelia mentioned, part of the raison d'etre of the forum is to support families. And we know that both for those not coming back at the moment, or for those who will be coming back, there is going to be huge amounts of support needed for them and their family members as well.
They are all very concerned with the violence that either the loved ones have witnessed or have endured themselves. For example, the family that I'm supporting personally, the daughter has been photographed with stains of blood. It's obvious that she's wounded, and actually her pants are all blooded, and they are profoundly terrified of the possibility that she was sexually abused. Another family that I know on a closer note it's a man whose wife and 3 children have been kidnapped. The younger is 4 years old. Another boy is 8, and his older daughter is just 10. And they have actually witnessed somebody shoved into the safe room a 3-year-old baby, toddler, who was covered all with blood because her parents were murdered, and someone found her sitting or lying on the body of her mother, and he just picked her up and brought her to another safe house, and they've found the phone of their daughter who was kidnapped. All of them were kidnapped from the safe room, And that man found the cell phone of his daughter, in which she texted her mother so the other children wouldn't hear. Is it true that this girl's parents were murdered? So he's now waiting for his children to come back. He's very hopeful that they will be back in this present deal. And he's terrified of what his children have witnessed. And of course, no one has any idea what their medical situation is, because the Red Cross was not allowed to meet them. So we do know that some of them were wounded, were shot, but we have no idea what the situation. And of course, many of these people who were taken hostage have witnessed the most horrible atrocities ever. So we have no idea what to expect in terms of the people who will be back. It may be that the first few days will be happy and blissful, but it's just a matter of time until the trauma would come out. And the trauma would come out, and it's going to be, for most of these people, a profound trauma that will need years and years of therapy. And you know, one of the men that we've been supporting has this idea that he keeps saying, telling his therapist that, well, he says, if my wife was raped, then that's the end of everything, because she wouldn't be able to get out of it, and I'm going to lose her. If she hasn't been raped, then everything is going to be okay. And of course, nothing is going to be okay. It's just whether she was raped or she wasn't raped. It's he will need to face and to adjust to a completely new reality that, again, I'm saying no one in the Western world has ever had to treat children who were kidnapped or women for such a long time. It's unheard of. It's going to be a very difficult situation. But I'm thinking it's a new mother who has to meet her new baby for the first time, and it may be a baby who is not well, and she has to be very, very attentive to the clues that the baby gives her as to what he needs. And it may be a baby that may not want anyone to hold him because it may be overwhelming for him, or it may be a baby that needs to be held 24/7. And since it's not a baby, it will be more difficult, actually, because I think we do tend to think that if it's not a baby and it's a person that can talk, then he may be quite clear in what he needs. But probably the hostages themselves will not know what they need. They may be irritated, they may be withdrawn, they may be very scared of everything, they may be unable to sleep in their own beds. Like one of the things that we keep telling the parents, that they should be prepared for the children to want and to need to sleep in the parents' bedrooms. And we also have to take into account that many of these children were kidnapped from areas that were already in a way traumatized. So, and they're coming back to a country that is still in war. So we're not having as many missiles as we used to have, but it's not completely quiet here. So everything is going to be probably very, very tense, and they will need to be very attentive. And we're also trying to prepare them to the difficulty that they may experience in having to serve someone. They will need to be in service of their family, and it's not easy. The family themselves have been traumatized in the last 6 weeks. Many of them have witnessed the atrocities of October 7th. It's not like some of them, of course, were not living in the kibbutzim at the south, but many of them were kidnapped from their homes. And like, for example, the father that I'm talking about with the 3 children kidnapped, he himself was wounded at October 7th, and he had to have an operation. And when the doctors asked him, who do you want us to inform? He said, there's no one to inform. My family is gone. So it's not like we have a healthy person who has to treat someone who is coming back with a trauma. We have traumatized people who need to be in service of other traumatized people. And that, of course, adds a lot to the difficulty. Most of the children were kidnapped alongside with one of their parents. So we do, I mean, the very young children, we do have the 3-year-old that I spoke about before, the one who was found on the body of her parents. Both of parents were murdered. So, but she's 3 years old. I do think she will remember her parents. And actually, when she was found and she was asked what happened, she said, they killed my parents. We do have a 10-month-old baby, but he was kidnapped alongside with his mother. So the only hope I think we have, and our hopes have been reduced, to the smallest particles. I do hope that they weren't separated. But it should also be said that there are some children that the Hamas has lost touch with, that we don't know where they are. So this is going to be one of, I think, the most painful experiences for families with children who expect them to be back, and they may find out in a day or two or 3 or 4 that their children are gone. We have no idea where they are. So that's going to be an extremely painful experience. So first of all, we are supporting Zaka, for example, and we are now actually, we've just received a request from the people from the pathologists. They're all, experts, physicians. They are so traumatized, they can't hold it up. One of them said that he was at the shift for just 24 hours, that's it. And he came back home and he told his wife, I want to die. I can't bear it. So I can speak only of the psychoanalysts, okay, because this is the group that I'm working with. Most of us are well analyzed, okay? Some are still not. I hope they will return to analysis, but we are very strong people. We've all had probably the deepest treatment possible, but we are being supervised. I mean, we have asked all the people, all the analysts who are supporting bereaved families or families of those who were kidnapped or families of the survivors. The survivors are also in a terrible situation, to participate in group supervisions, for them to be able to speak out and just share some of what they're going through. But I do think that most of us are just holding everything inside, and we are probably being supported by our family. At least I am. When I come back from seeing the survivors or the kidnapped, the family of the kidnapped, I just talk with my husband and I sort of try to share with him at least some of the most difficult feelings that I have. But it's basically, we are holding up, and I think we're waiting for our turn, and we may have to wait for years. There aren't enough therapists to treat the therapist. The only thing I think that wakes me up at night, the only nightmare that I have is that someone has asked for help, and for some reason I didn't get him a therapist. This is what me and all of my colleagues, we just dedicate all of our time for that.